Caring what people think feels like humility. It is actually the most expensive form of vanity you will ever own. You don't believe that yet? That's fine. The proof is in something you did today. You send the text, and then you read it back. Once. Then a second time, in their voice, trying to hear how it lands on the other end. You change one word. You take out the period because the period seemed cold. Then you put it back because no period seemed needy. You said something perfectly reasonable in a meeting today, and you have replayed it 4 times since, auditing your own tone for a crime you can't quite name. You laughed a half-second longer than the joke had earned. Somewhere in the last few hours, you performed a small adjustment, a word, a face, a posture, for the benefit of someone who was not, in fact, grading you. This is the quietest tax a man can pay, and you pay it all day. Not the big humiliations, the constant low-grade editing of yourself for an audience you can't even name. And here is what all that spending buys you. Not respect, not affection. People can feel a performance the way they feel a draft from a window. And what a performance earns, at best, is the mild, forgettable approval a room gives to anyone who asks for it. You are paying every waking hour for a product that does not exist. Picture a theater. Not a grand one. Your theater. The one you built without meaning to, somewhere around the age you first understood that other people could see you. Over the years you furnished it. You sold tickets to your parents, to the kids who were cruel at 13, to a boss, to strangers you've never met, to a version of a friend who exists only in your head. And now you perform here. Most of your waking life is delivered from this stage, one eye always on the seats. Now look closely at the seats. Most of them are empty. The people you perform for are not watching. They are in their own theaters, on their own stages, squinting into their own dark rooms, far too busy with how they are coming across to spare a thought for how you are. The cruel kids grew up and forgot you. The stranger you were certain judged you scrolled past you weeks ago. Even the people who love you think about you a fraction as often as you imagine. You are sweating under the lights of a sold-out house, and the house is nearly empty. Caring what people think is not vanity, and it is not weakness. It is stage fright, performed for a room that mostly went home. 2 men saw this theater for what it was, from opposite ends of the earth. The emperor is Marcus Aurelius. His theater was real, an empire in the seats. Every decision watched, flattered, written down. The slave is Epictetus, who owned nothing, not even his own body, and who walked through that life freer than most free men, because he had worked out exactly which things a master can take and which things no one can touch. Between them, every reason to care what people thought, and no reason at all. On this, they agreed completely. What they left behind comes down to 5 disciplines. Think of them as 5 steps down from that stage. The first 4 ask for honesty. The 5th asks for something else. and it is the one almost nobody keeps. It is the line between a man who performs freedom and a man who has it. We end there. Here is the first step. The first discipline is a property line, and Epictetus drew it harder than anyone before or since. Some things are up to us, he taught, and some things are not. Up to us, our judgments, our choices, what we do, who we decide to be. Not up to us, our bodies, our possessions, and our reputation. What other people think of us. That last one is the whole game. Your reputation, he says flatly, is not yours. It never was. It lives entirely inside other people's heads, assembled from their moods, their histories, the morning they happen to be having, none of which you control. Go back to the theater. The stage is yours. Your conduct, your craft, the way you actually behave when it counts. The seats are not what the audience makes of it, the review they write on the way home. And the whole misery of caring what people think comes from one confusion. Most of us spend our lives trying to direct the seats and let the stage run itself. We pour everything into the reaction we cannot control and neglect the one performance we can. That confusion has a mechanism. Anxiety lives in exactly one place. The gap between what you feel responsible for and what you actually command. Stake your piece on the seats, and you have wired your own heart to a panel of switches in other people's hands. So the first practice is an audit, and you run it out loud. Tonight, when the replay starts, the meeting, the message, the look on their face, stop it and split the event in two, one sentence each. Mine, what I said, and why I said it. Not mine, what they made of it. Say both sentences, speak them. The voice makes the line real in a way thought never does. And notice something as you do. The replay only ever loops the second column, the one that was never your property to begin with. Give everything to the stage. Release the seats. A man who builds his peace on the applause of others has built his house on the sea. The second discipline cuts deeper because knowing the seats aren't yours doesn't stop you trusting them. That is the strange part. You will discount your own read of an entire day the instant one person frowns. You'll feel solid about a piece of work until a single offhand comment unspools the whole thing. One flat face in a warm room, and the room goes cold. Marcus caught himself doing it, an emperor, and wrote down what may be the most quietly devastating sentence in his private notebook. He noticed that every one of us loves himself more than he loves anyone else, and yet values his own opinion of himself less than the opinion of strangers. Read it twice. You are the one person you will spend every hour of your life with. You hold the most evidence, the most at stake, the longest view. And you have quietly agreed to let people who barely know you, who will have forgotten the exchange by lunch, outvote you on the one subject you know better than anyone alive. And the verdict never lands, because the jury keeps changing its mind, and half of them aren't even in the room. That is why the feeling of enough never arrives. You have appointed a court that never convenes. The practice is the back row test, and it has 2 moves. First, when a comment stings, before you answer it in your head, ask one question. How many seconds of my performance did this critic actually watch? You watched all of it from the inside. They caught 4 seconds from the back row in bad light, thinking mostly about themselves. Second, and this is the move that changes you, give your verdict first. After anything that matters, before you check a single face, before you reread the text they haven't answered yet, write one line. Did I act well, yes or no? You go first. The jury can wait. You watched everything. They glanced up from the back row. Whose review deserves your signature? The third discipline is where this stops being defense and becomes something almost light. Because once the reviews stop ruling you, you can handle them the way a free man handles them. Loosely. Most people answer every criticism with a defense. Watch what that purchases. The critic learns that 1 sentence from him buys 10 from you. You have priced yourself. Every explanation you didn't owe is a season ticket handed free of charge to a heckler. Someone once told Epictetus that a man had been speaking badly of him. He offered no defense. He said, "Clearly the man doesn't know me very well, or he would have mentioned my other faults too." Sit with how loose that is. He is so unthreatened by the criticism that he's amused it came up short. The insult can't find purchase because he isn't standing where it was aimed. He had already taken his own measure. He didn't need theirs. That is the target. Not a man numb to all opinion, but a man who has become his own audience. The one ticket that was ever real is the one in your hand. Your own honest read of whether you acted well. Marcus put the payoff plainly. Think how much trouble a man spares himself when he does not look at what his neighbor says or does or thinks, but only at what he himself is doing, that it be just and clean. The practice will itch. Once today, let one small misunderstanding of you stand. Not slander, small. The colleague who half heard you, the joke that landed sideways, the person who has you harmlessly miscategorized. Feel the urge rise to chase it down and straighten it out. Don't. Let the correction die unspoken, once a day, every day. That itch is the exact muscle this discipline trains, the need to manage the seats, dying quietly of hunger. Real freedom is the day applause and boos weigh the same. Because both are coming from seats you no longer mistake for the judge. The fourth discipline is the one that kills envy, and it starts with a correction. Approval is not given, it is sold. Everything the audience hands out has a price on it, and the price is never posted. You know the burn, the colleague promoted past you, the friend the whole room warms to, the man whose work draws the crowd yours deserved. Most people stand in that feeling and call it unfairness. They want the applause without ever reading the invoice. Epictetus took this apart with a shopkeeper's calm. Someone is honored above you, he said. invited where you weren't, greeted more warmly, praised in the room where your name went unsaid. If those honors are good things, be glad he has them. But first remember what envy always edits out. He paid. He paid in attendance. He paid in flattery. He paid in praising things he privately despised, at doors you refused to stand at. You did not pay the price, so you do not hold the goods. You were not robbed. You declined the purchase. And then he makes it small enough to carry. Lettuces sell for an obol. The man who pays the obol goes home with lettuces. You keep your coin, and you walk home convinced you were cheated, while the obol sits in your hand the whole way. That is the mechanism. Envy of approval is an accounting error. You count his lettuce and forget your coin. And in this market, your coin is not small. It is your evenings, your unbent opinions, every sentence you did not have to swallow, every door you never had to smile at. Approval always costs a piece of the stage, the one property that was actually yours. So here is the practice, and do it in ink. Next time unearned looking approval burns you, the promotion, the warmth, the crowd, write the invoice. Line by line, the real price the man paid, the dinners attended, the deference performed, the opinions filed down to fit, the yeses that should have been noes. Then, at the bottom, one question: would I pay this? Some days, be honest, the answer is yes. Then the envy was information, and you know your next move. Most days, you will read the bill, put the pen down, and feel something unclench. Envy rarely survives an itemized bill. Applause was never withheld from you. It was offered at a price, and you declined to pay. Keeping the coin was the win. You just forgot you were holding it. 4 disciplines, 4 steps down. But notice what every one of them still assumes: an audience, seats to release, a house to stop playing to, reviews to outweigh, a bill to decline. The 5th discipline asks the question the other 4 were circling. Take the audience away entirely. No seats, no reviews, no one to perform for, and no one to refuse. What is left of you in the dark? Everything, the Stoics said, hangs on that answer. This is the one almost nobody keeps. Because here is the last uncomfortable truth about your theater. You carry it with you. There is a spectator in your skull, the one who watches you do the right thing and immediately begins drafting the story of it. Most people don't fail to do good in secret. They do it, and then they find a way to mention it. The donation stays anonymous right up until dinner. The favor is never brought up, except twice. The hard, invisible, decent thing gets told to one person, just one. And the moment it is told, it stops being invisible and becomes inventory. Even alone, the performance goes on. We act well and then stand in the wings of our own minds, waiting for the review. Marcus knew the move intimately, and he left himself a note about it. When you have done a good act, he asks himself, and another has received it, why do you go looking for a third thing besides, like a fool, the reputation of having done it, or a favor back? Elsewhere in the same notebook, he goes further. A vine produces grapes and asks for nothing once it has. A horse runs. A bee makes honey. And a man who has done a good act does not call out for others to come and see. He moves on to the next act, the way the vine moves on to next season's grapes. He even copied out a line from an older philosopher and kept it. It is royal to do good and to be abused. The mechanism is ownership. The same property line as the first step, drawn one ring deeper. As long as your goodness needs a witness, the witness holds the deed to it. Your character sits in someone else's ledger, repossessible by their silence. The act done in the dark, told to no one, ever, is the first thing you will own outright. That is the difference between reputation and character. Reputation is what the seats hold. Character is what is still standing on the stage when the house has gone completely dark. The practice is one act. Today, not this week, do one genuinely good thing under two conditions. No one sees it, and you never tell. Keep it small. Small is harder. Fix the thing that isn't yours to fix. Give without the receipt. Right the fallen chair in the empty hallway. And then comes the real discipline, because tonight, or in 3 days, mid-conversation, the itch will arrive. To mention it, casually, in passing. The itch is not a flaw in the exercise. The itch is the exercise. It is the last spectator, standing at the exit, waiting for you to beg him to stay. Let him leave. What you are in the lit theater is a performance, even at its most honest. What you are in the dark is the only self that was ever entirely yours. The Stoics built for the dark. Now the honest part, because this gets twisted fast. Stop caring what people think is one short step from care about no one. And that is not the discipline. That's just a different cage. The one where you're so armored that nothing can reach you. The Stoics were not aiming at the man who shrugs at everyone. Marcus filled pages on duty, on what he owed the people around him, his patience, his fairness. Caring about people is not the disease. Outsourcing your verdict on yourself to people who aren't qualified to give it, that is the disease. So keep the seats that are real, the handful who actually know you and want you well. Their honest word is a gift. Keep listening to it. The craft itself, whether the work is genuinely good, that judgment matters, and pretending it doesn't is just laziness in a toga. What you're firing is the imaginary audience, the composite jury of half-remembered critics and strangers whose approval you decided, somewhere along the way, would finally make you feel real. It was never going to. That was always the trick of it. And it won't go quiet the first time you try. You'll still feel the flush when a face goes flat. You'll still draft the text 6 times some nights. The discipline isn't a switch that kills the stage fright. It's the slow work of learning, again and again, that you can feel watched and act anyway. The feeling is only weather, and you don't perform for the weather. So it will happen again. Tonight, probably. You'll send something and start to read it back in their voice. You'll replay the meeting. You'll feel the seats fill in the dark of your own head. the old lights coming up, and your hand reaching on its own for the costume. Stop there. Stand still on the stage one moment and look out. Look at the seats. The kids who were cruel at 13. Empty. They grew up, got tired, forgot. The boss's seat. Empty. He is in his own theater, sweating under his own lights. The strangers left before the first act ended. Even the people who love you are only visiting. Row after row, dark. It was always mostly dark. You have been giving the performance of your life to a room that went home years ago. So walk down the 5 steps you now know by name, the stage that was always yours, the seats that never were, the empty house you stopped playing to, the one ticket you take back, the bill you finally read, and the good done in the dark that no one will ever clap for because no one will ever know. Up the aisle, past every seat you sold to someone who never asked to own you. Push the doors, and yes, outside, without the script, without the lighting, you are more visible than you have ever been. That is not the danger. That was the point. What is left when the performance ends is not a smaller thing. It is the first thing anyone, including you, will ever actually have met. You were never the act. The act was what you built because you thought the man underneath wasn't enough. He was. He is. Do the next right thing because you decided it was right, in an ordinary room, in ordinary light, watched by no one. That is what the Stoics meant by free. One morning before you go, because the Stoics knew this road has one more turn. Suppose you win. Suppose the seat's empty for good and the approval goes quiet. Exactly what you wanted. For some men, something strange arrives in that silence. They get everything they were performing for, and one unremarkable morning, they wake and feel nothing at all. Not peace, nothing. There was a man who had all of it, the wealth, the standing, the audience of Rome, and wrote, privately, that he felt hollow at the center of it. What he found inside that emptiness is where this goes next.